Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. I'm bringing you today a card in a box that I really wanted to make. I thought it would be super cute. It's from the Silhouette Design Store. I have a link for it down below. If you use my link, I get a teeny weeny little commission and it helps to support my channel and our group, PattyAnnesPlace. So anyway, this is the one I got, the 5x7 Nativity pop-up card in a box, which I love. I downloaded it and I saved the SVG version as well. I always do that. It just costs a little bit extra. I think it was $1. Everything's 50% off in the design store right now. So I got this image and you can see what he looks like here and here. Cute as can be, I thought. So what I did then was I opened up my Silhouette Studio. I use the design or the business edition since I also have a Cricut machine, and I like to be able to save things as SVGs. So let's just delete this one and let me show you. First, I came up here to File and Merge, and I went ahead and got the SVG version because I thought that would be perfect. So I brought it in and I noticed, holy moly, that thing is so tiny. That can't be right. But not only is there a problem with it being tiny, let me make it larger for you to show you what's up with this thing. Let's just say I'm going to print and cut this part right here and ready to go. Send. Look what is going to cut here. All of these red lines are cut lines. So it's going to actually cut right between this guy's green outfit right here. It's going to cut it right off. There's several other places on other parts that's going to cut off too. And you may be saying, but you know what? That's because you have cut over here on. Well, let me show you what happens if I highlight it all and I change it to cut edge. Then it's just going to cut a box around all these things, and that's certainly not what I wanted. So I'm going to go back to design. And I'm going to delete this one. And now I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to merge into the same area the Studio file, Silhouette Studio document, and I'm going to say OK. And that comes in a much, whoopsie, wait a minute, much better size. I do need to go ahead and group everything. Group. OK. And now let's see what happens when I say send this. Okay, that looks pretty good, right? That looks really good. Let's go to design. And now let's assume that I'm going to do this as a print and cut. So let's see. I've got to come over here to my page setup. And I'm going to put on my registration mark so I can make sure it's going to fit within there. And I don't think this is going to quite fit. So I'm going to go back to the page setup and show these borders. Okay, just as I suspected, the little part of his star goes outside of where it can be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup this. And then this part over, whoopsie, let's see. Maybe I need to ungroup again. Ungroup. All right, now this stuff over here, I'm going to group back together, all of this. Group. So I don't have to worry about it. Come back over here, and let's see. I think if I try to grab just him, I won't get the cut line. Notice that? So let me hit Control-Z on my keyboard and try to get both him and the cut line. And I'll group them, and now I should have both pieces. Okay, perfect. And let's see, maybe now I can just move this guy up. But I want to try to get both him and his cut line. But look, it's grabbing this other fellow over here as well. Not sure. See, if I just take him, I lose his cut line. So let me do Control-Z to put that back. And let's see if I can grab. I'll just ungroup all of this. Let's see what I can do. So now I'm going to try to grab him. Grab him. Okay, I got him in his cut line, so I'm going to group. Put him up here. And maybe now this guy will fit over here. Okay, he fits pretty good right there. So now I'm just going to go to Make It. And that looks pretty good now. Let's go back to design and let's scroll way in and see these. Okay, I'm noticing something when I scroll way in, and you can probably see this too. When I scroll way in, say like on this chicken, do you see the cut line right here? Do you notice that it's not on the chicken? It's off of it, and it goes right here in the line of his leg. So what I was thinking maybe I could do was just ungroup this or move the chicken part over. So I'm moving it by the arrow keys so that his feet fit. But when I do that, notice what's happening here with the cut lines. They're way off here, and his beak isn't on the right place. Let's move his beak in the right place. So I'm doing the arrow keys again. And now look where his tail is going to cut. Okay, so this thing, I don't know if it's gotten corrupted over the years or what has happened, but these cut lines are just not at all where they need to be. If I go to send and we look at that chicken, well, it's hard to tell here. Let's see, can we get in, scroll in like this? Yes, look, you can see these cut lines are not lined up. I lined up his beak and this part of him, and look at these, they're way off. So whatever are we going to do? If you're a newbie, you're thinking, oh, my machine's registration marks are all off. It's not cutting right. I hate my machine. But you know what? In this case, it's not your machine. I think that this file has gotten corrupted, but I'm going to show you how to fix it. So let's go back to design and pause here for just 1 sec. Okay, I'm going to start as if I were just beginning from the very beginning again, knowing this file may be corrupted, and I'm going to fix it the best way that I know how. So, and maybe there's other ways, you guys, but this is what I would do. So I would come up here to File and Merge, and I'm going to go ahead and get the Silhouette Studio file because that comes in at the right size, I believe. I'm going to click on that and say OK. So here is all of the stuff. Whoops. Control Z. I need to group it actually. If I don't group it, look, it's going to get away from its cut lines just like that. So I could group it, but then again, what I'm going to do is ungroup it because I'm going to throw away those cut lines. I don't want those cut lines. They're horrible. Oh, the only thing I'm going to be getting rid of that I do need, though, are the score lines. But that's okay. So I'm going to go like this, move this out of the side, and I'm going to grab this part and delete all of those cut lines. Now there's nothing. Now these are all still grouped together. So I'm going to make them smaller. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and grab, well, not grab everything yet. I'm going to come over here to the Trace tool on the right-hand side. Select the trace area and go like this. Make my threshold much higher up so that I get everything. Okay, I wanted you to see this. This series on the left is the one that I was showing you how to do originally before I said, stop, hold your horses. That is not right. It's not going to work right. Look at the offset still on the outer edge of this, not lining up properly. Look at this, the white on the outer edge, not lining up properly. All of the places. And he even still had a couple of extra cuts in him that weren't supposed to be there. This guy, nothing worked properly. Then I realized what I had done wrong, and these turned out beautifully. So now stay tuned to part 2 or take 2 where I show you how to get them right. Okay, here comes take 2. Let's pretend like we're just importing this for the first time or merging it. So I'm going to come up here to File, Merge, and I'm going to bring in the Silhouette Studio 1, say Open, and they come in at the right size. Here's the difference of what I'm going to do this time. Notice I'm wiggling it around, and again, we have these cut files back here. I hope you can see them, the cut lines. I think maybe I can make them darker. There you go, and now you can see those cut lines. I don't need them though because I'm going to make my own. So I'm going to delete all of that. Now, what I had done wrong the first time was I tried to do all of these in one swoop, and it worked horribly. What I really need to do is go one by one and make the offsets for these individually. So I'm just going to go ahead and ungroup everything. And I could group this group back together as I had done over there to move them out of the way. So I'll just start with this series over here. So we have this little guy right here. First thing I'm going to do is just take him, and I'm going to go over here to the trace panel and select the trace area, and I'm going to trace him just like that. Going to up the threshold to whatever I need it to be. I am going to use my little bug tool and get in close. That looks really good to me. So I'm going to say trace and detach. Then I'm just going to move him right over here and get rid of these little bits that were left behind by selecting them and then hitting delete on my keyboard. So let's see, there's a little piece right there I'm going to delete I don't need. So I'll do Mary and Joseph now. So again, I'm going to come over here to the trace tool and select the trace area and go around them. And I'm going to keep upping my threshold until I get all of his staff included. There we go. Looks pretty good like that. So I will just say trace and detach. So I'll move them over there because they are ready to go. And I'll get rid of the junk that was left behind them. Delete. Make sure there's nothing else. Now for the chicken. Let's try him. Select the trace area. I'm going to have to up his threshold quite a bit. And it's weird the way his butt gets like that. But for some reason, that's the way it worked best for me. I'm pretty sure that's how I had done it. So I'm just going to go select trace and detach. He looks great. Get rid of the junk. Delete. So let's get this. This was a doozy on the last one. It didn't work out right at all. So I'm going to come over to the select trace area and trace this. Up the threshold, and look at this. I mean, you can see why all of these thresholds were a little bit different and why it didn't work before. So that looks pretty good just like that. So I'm going to say trace and detach. Take this part over because this will be my print then cut. Any junk that's left here that I can't really see well, I'll highlight and delete. Come over here and get this little guy. He was my problem child. I guess he's a wise man, right? I'm going to go ahead and select the trace area, trace him. And I need to up my threshold here. If I just leave my threshold like that, thinking that all the lines are taken, it will not work right. I need to do it up higher. And actually, I think right here is not well enough either. Let's trace and detach, see what we have. Can't really tell unless I leave him on here for a second and we go over to send. And looks like he's going to send just fine this time. So let's go back to design. So he's good to go. Do this guy. Right now, if I go over there and I try to cut this, let's see what happens. Send. So all we have is the box around him. Even if I say cut edge, cut the inside, he needs to be traced. It's going to go back over here, select the trace area, trace around him. And as usual, I like to get way in there so I can see what I'm getting. Make this smaller. And I do want to up my trace area or my threshold like that. And trace and detach. So there he is, and there's some extra junk I no longer need. Delete. Put him over off to the side. Let's see what else we have left. These things, I'll just do one of these for you right now so you can see how it works. So I'm going to scroll way in, and I'm going to select the trace area, and hopefully this is one of the ones that's going to be weird. See, I'm still trying to get this outer edge right here, so I have to go way up. But nope, this is one that's working okay. So just let me trace this one and detach. Drag that over, get rid of any junk that's left. Let me try another one of these because there are a couple that you may have a little bit of an issue with. Let's try this one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select the trace area. I'm going to scroll way in so we can see. And up the threshold. Okay, I'm not having any issues this time. Sometimes there's some extra junk up here that shows up, and maybe it was just stuff that was left on my mat. But I'll just trace and detach this one and get rid of that extra junk and put it way over here. So I might as well just try, just for the heck of it, to see if there is anything weird. Try this one. Select the trace area and zoom in so you can see and I can see, and up my threshold. Okay, these all seem to be working just fine now, so it must have been a fluke before. Trace and detach. Take that over, get rid of that. And the last one I need to do is this one. Select the trace area, up my threshold. Worked perfectly also. I don't see, let me scroll in right quick just to make sure. No, I don't see any extra junk being traced in this, so it's good. Trace and detach. I can scroll back out and take that over there and get rid of this. Okay, so now what I do like to do is make sure I go way out onto the part of this part of the white part of the mat, I should say, where I'm going to be doing my print then cut, and go ahead and just grab a box all the way around it just to make sure I have not left any pieces. If I had, a little boxes would show up, so there must not be anything extra that I've left. So now what I need to do in Silhouette is to come over to my page panel setup and turn on my registration marks so that I know where I can put my little pieces and they will cut perfectly. Whoops, can't put that there because the star was overlapping. Let's see, put this here maybe. I think if I twirl this one, maybe move it down. And if I twirl this one, I think this will all fit on one sheet. Whoopsie. So this is good to go. Nope, not quite. That's still. Okay, I have to make sure everything's within this red boundary line and not overlapping these little hash marks. So let's go ahead and send this and see what it's going to look like. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, this is going to be beautiful. The only one I'm wondering about is this guy right here. Let's see if I go to cut edge. Okay, that looks fine. Okay, so this is ready to go ahead and be sent to my machine. So I would just come up here to send. Oh, no. I wouldn't send it first. First, I need to print it. And then after I print it, then I will send it to my machine to be cut. I notice they're overlapping a little bit here, so I might want to move those apart just a tiny bit or rearrange things a little bit. Okay, so now I have to show you how I'm going to add the score lines that I took off before. So I've dragged this part over that I haven't done yet, although some of them I have done, so I might rearrange this a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup this. Okay, and let's see. This guy's not. I'm going to group these guys back together because I don't think I've done those yet, so group. Okay. So, and the little lammy pie I've already done. All right, so what I need to do first of all is I need to go ahead and do that same thing we had done before to go ahead and add cut lines, because if I go to send this right now and I say cut the edge, cut, well, let's see, get all of these. Grab them all and say cut edge. Okay, that's what it's going to cut, the edge. Even if I say cut, it's not going to cut the part I need. So just like before, what I need to do is individually add cut lines to these, and the way I do that is by tracing them. So I'm going to come over here to the trace tool, select trace area, and trace this one first. Change my threshold. I have no idea why that looks so odd. Let's try this one. Select the trace area. To me that looks really, really strange, but I guess it'll be just fine. So I'm going to trace and detach. And the reason I'm doing trace and detach is because I want to use these, I want these to cut, to be print and cut just like they are, because they're pretty colors and I like the gradation. So I'll do this one now. I'm going to go select the trace area. Same thing, looks like I'll have to make that trace all the way up to 100%. Trace and detach. There we go. So there's two pieces in here, as you can see, that I can get rid of by hitting delete. And now I just have this last piece to trace. Select the trace area. And make its threshold way up. And say trace and detach. So there's that. And I can get rid of this junk. Alright, so now I'm going to bring this back over here and let's look and see what it's going to look like when we do take this as if we were going to make it, as if it were already cut or printed. Let's go to send. And now that you can see what's going to happen when I say cut the edge, it's definitely going to just cut the edges of these pieces that we need. So that's perfect. But we do want to have those score lines in there. So I know that there has to be a score line right here, and right here, and right here. So I'm going to just go ahead and kind of line these up. I can move this off. I'm going to kind of line up right there, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right here with this line, so that I can bring my little tool. When I come over here to the line tool, I'm just going to get the straight line. Going to come over here with my crosshairs, line that up right there. Hold down my shift key and draw a line straight down. Try to get to the other side. Let go of my mouse and then my shift key. And I can change the line style to a dotted one, which means it's going to just be a score line. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let's go ahead and group these together. And now I'm going to move this down. I can scroll in closer so we can see more easily. What I'm trying to do is make this point right here in line with this line, just because it makes it a little bit easier for me. Then I'll come over and get my line tool again, line up those crosshairs on the line, hold down my shift key, drag across, and it looks like I can see it's a little tiny bit off. You see that? Just a hair. I can scroll in so you can see it. Probably really doesn't matter, but it's just a hair off. So let's look over here. Yeah, see, that's a little bit off. I'm going to hit the down arrow on my keyboard and get that thing placed exactly where I want it to be. And I think that's pretty much where I want it to be. Let's see. Try to go after him again. I'm going to go up this time. I'm just trying to line it up as close as I can. That's pretty good right there. So now I'm just going to, whoopsie daisy, Control Z on my keyboard, and I'm going to change this type of line, just like I did before. Click on the line when I can. Here we go, and I'm going to come up here to the line style area, change it to dash line, so that is now a score line. So again, I can just go ahead, grab all that, and group. One more place we need a score line is right here. So again, I can kind of line that up as best I can like that. See how that looks. Pretty good. Maybe down just a tiny bit. Scroll in. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to draw a line right across starting. Well, wait a minute, that doesn't look great. You move it down just a little bit more. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start my line right here. Get the line. Put my crosshairs right there. Hold down my shift key and draw across. Unfortunately, I can't. There we go. All right, that didn't match up very well. Look at that. So I am going to have to adjust this one. So while that's selected, I'm going to hit the up arrow on my keyboard so I can have that line hit right where I want it to, right there. So let's look on this side and see how it looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to click on this and I'm going to change it to a dash line. So there's that. So I'm going to go scroll out, and now that piece is just perfect, other than I need to group everything again. So now let's look and see what's going to happen when we take this over. And you know in Silhouette that these score lines are actually going to be small cut dashed lines. So let's go send, and if we say cut, it's going to cut around the edges, and then it's going to cut here because Silhouette does little teeny tiny cuts for their score lines. So that is perfect. So this piece is ready to go. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and group it, all of it, and I'm going to go ahead and say File, Print, Preferences. I have a printer that has several different places to hold paper, so I know it's in cassette number 1, letter size, premium, presentation matte, high quality color. I do want to print preview. I always do that just so I can see if it looks right. So I clicked on that, and then I click on print again. And there it comes in. It's perfect just like that. So I'm going to say print. And I can hear that starting to print over there. So when it's done printing, I'll put it on my mat, cut it out, and I will be right back. Okay, the last thing I need to do is show you how I got the angel to work. So the first thing that I did was I came over to the trace tool, select the trace area, and traced it. And I made my threshold higher. Okay, all the pieces are cut out, and quite honestly, I'm left on my own now to figure out how in the world to put this together because there aren't any instructions. So the cutting did work well. I'm not sure which way I'm supposed to even bend these. So I'm just going to start trying little this, little that. Some of you have probably already done this and you're like, yo, Patty, and it's not that hard. Oh, I think these go out like this. Maybe. And then this, perhaps, it's glued here. Wait a minute. I don't know. Okay, like that. Alright, so I think it's going to get glued like that. So I'm going to start out like that and continue on from there. I am wondering about something though. Why are these just score lines? I wonder if these should have been cut lines right here that I messed up. Thinking maybe so. So I'm going to make them cut lines. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut on that area there. And hopefully I'm not messing it up. And this area here. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece and glue it onto this piece. Okay, tape it on. So, let me get my handy dandy ATG gun, which I absolutely love, as you know. I have a link for it down below in case you're in the market to buy one. Appreciate it when you use my links because it helps me be able to buy this cardstock and all this ink so I can find out how to get these things to work for you and you don't have to waste all your stuff. So, anyway, so there's that, and now I'm going to do this piece. So So we'll put some tape on here. I really do love these guns. This gun, though, really, truly. All right, let's see there. Okay, so far so good, I think. And you know, if you ever go over the edge, the one nice thing about this too is just go like this and see it kind of coming right off. So it's not like it's like regular tape. You can just rub on it, and it kind of balls up, kind of like what rubber cement does. And then you have nothing left there messing up. So far so good. Now I think these pieces maybe go out like this, and then these pieces get put on here like this. Okay, so maybe I should start putting these pieces on first. I really like playing with cardstock. There's that. And kind of looks like the picture. I'm looking at the little tiny picture in the Silhouette store. Just trying to see if I can figure out what in the world I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. There's those two parts. This is bigger than what I thought it was going to be. Last one of these. Okay, now it looks like these pieces here, there should be, did I forget to put them on all of them? There should be score lines, and since there aren't though, I can tell right where it goes in is where it should be scored. So I don't even actually need a score line. I can just bend them in like this because I can tell pretty much where they're supposed to be bent. Maybe I didn't put score lines on any of these. Nope. Hopefully this will be close enough. So I can just see, like I said, where this little angle starts, and that's where I'm making it bend. Hopefully that's going to be perfect. Maybe that's a little bit too big. Oh, I think it'll be okay. Maybe I'll have to make them a little bit smaller. Okay. This one fits. So I don't know if these go all the way down to the bottom like that. I think that's how they go. And then these little guys get just glued onto these places. So let's see, how do we do this? I guess I'll start with the back one first. So maybe it's all the way back. Let me look at another angle, see if I can tell anything else. No, can't really. Huh. Well, I'll start at the front. So I'll just put this one about this far in. It looks like they have the top of it lined up with the top of the box. Like this. So I can press that and press this piece in like that. Okay, there's that. Now this should still fold up. So there we go. Alright, now let's try the second piece. I guess I'll just do that like halfway back. So I'm wondering if I should have put my little characters on first. I don't know. There we go. Okay, let's see. So I'm making sure that the blue part is showing towards the front of the box. so it looks pretty from the front, I guess. Is that one? Kind of make it straight across if I can. Then bend it and I can push it into place. There's that. Okay, one more to go. Okay. And this will go back here. And again, lined up with the top. And this must not be straight. Maybe this is the one that was a little tiny bit too long. You know, since I didn't put the score lines in, I'm kind of ad-libbing this part a little bit. But I think it's going to work just fine. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Alright, so there's my box so far. They had their back part standing up like that somehow. Okay, on the front right here, they glued on the chicken. I could pop dot him up if I wanted to. And I think I will. I have my pop dots right here. This will be a lot easier too to stick these things on, I think, if I use the pop dots. This is too big for him. Just about. Let me rip a little bit off. Okay, pop dot him on the front. Right here. Okay, let's see who else. Now, in the first section right here, they have the shepherd and the sheep. Like that. So that's what I'll do. I'll put the shepherd. And these pop dots are going to make it so much easier, you guys. And the sheep. Pop darts are the ones that I get from the dollar store, Dollar Tree, and they're like cheap. I think I should not have put the pop dot that high up because he's supposed to be standing up over the edge. So live and learn. There we go, like that. And let's see, I think if I can move this down. Ugh, no, not really. Get rid of that one. Let's try this piece. Put on the shepherd. Okay. And now on the next row are the three wise men. 1, 2, 3. Here are the three wise men. And now I'm getting smart, so I'm only going to put the pop darts down at the base of them so they can be raised up a bit. I can tear these in half. Like that. And I guess it doesn't matter where they are and what order, but I'll put them in the same order that they have them. Okay. So the blue guy goes here. And then the red guy goes in the middle. Oops, you gotta put him down a little lower. Don't want the sticky to stick out. There we go. And this guy goes here. Okay, they're the wise men. And then next comes Mary and Joseph. Here. There we go. And then the last thing, I guess, is this, and I'm not sure how that's supposed to go on there. Maybe it just goes right behind them. And again, I can't see it that well in the picture. See if I can see anything else. That's probably the best I can see it, just like this, unless this goes back here. I think I will put it back there. So I'm going to have to get a skinny piece of my pop dot to go on the side of this. I think this will work. And another skinny piece to go on the side of this. So this one was a real challenge. If you're a newbie using these files that you can get anywhere, not lots of times, but sometimes they're messed up. I don't know if it was something to do with the way I downloaded it or something is wrong with the... Okay, that's not going to work, y'all. You know why? Because my sticky is sticking out. What I can do maybe... is put a little piece of paper over top of that, I guess, to hide the sticky, because it's going to make my whole thing stick together if I don't. So now the angel is going to go here, I guess. Let me turn it this way so you can see what I'm working on. And this little angel is going to go on the opposite side. Okay, that is really, really cute. All right. So I should have just recut my things. But anyway, here we go. This is the way it turned out. I think it's super cute. So there's the shepherd and the sheep, the three wise men, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, the stable, and the angels. And it can all be closed up like this and sent in a card. Now, the only thing I wonder about is how far I have that angel out. I wonder if I should put her in a little closer, if I still can move her without tearing anything. Because it might be a problem for mailing with it out that far. There we go. Okay, that's better. There we go. So I think this turned out super cute. I did notice I did something wrong. This probably should have been the front right here, and I made it the side, but that's okay. Not a problem. So I think it's really super cute. I hope you learned a lot, and you work along with me. Hey, buy this project for 50 cents or $1, whatever it is over there, and it's good experience to work with all of these techniques that I had to do today to get this to work properly on my machine. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, check out my links down below. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, you guys. Bye-bye.